Hello, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone out there who is interested in universal basic income. On the call today, you have Marcel
Hiya.
and myself, Daniela. I'm the community manager for Universal Basic Income for Me, short UBI4ME. And there have been quite a few developments since we met last time. So I'll let Marcel talk you through setting up the Mastodon, getting some of the videos out and ready, so they will be available soon. And then we'll circle around to myself.
So yes, the main news is the Mastodon account, which you've created now. So if you're looking for us on Mastodon, it's at UBI4ME at mastodon.world. That's at UBI4ME at mastodon.world. And I think we'll put the link in the description later if anyone's looking for it later.
Yes.
So Mastodon, if you haven't come across it before, is an open source, open platform to replace the centralized Twitter solution. So if you had an account on Twitter, you'll know what Mastodon is about. It's basically a micro-blogging solution, but instead of having a single server, which is controlled by now a single individual, it's anybody can create a server and anyone can create an account and anybody can control who they listen to and who they don't. So if you don't want to have toxic people on your feed, you can quite easily block them going forward. So UBI4ME is now on Mastodon. We decided consciously not to create an account on Twitter and to go straight for Mastodon so that we can be part of the open community where it's a lot more to people's liking. I mean, if people want to be in a toxic environment, they can create their own server and have people on their own server. In fact, the Donald Trump Truth Social is a Mastodon server, which everybody doesn't link to. So if you want to keep up to date or you want to send us links about UBI, then we can boost those posts and things like that. We go forward from there. So I think Mastodon is a good step forward in just making a more frequent and smaller contribution as opposed to waiting for the blog posts, which tend to take a bit of time and effort and research before we can get them out.
Yes. And let me just stress to everyone the reason why we chose Mastodon, which is free, it's a not-for-profit, and as Marcel mentioned, it's generally friendlier, more supportive, and open to everyone. Versus Elon Musk, who is famously, who is famous for just sacking people, firing them without notice. He just simply took complete departments out of Twitter when he took over. He is the last person who's interested in everyone joining in a humane, decent experience on this planet. So why should we give him any more of our money or even attention? Because we're here to help along or to help the agenda of the universal basic income, where every single human receives a regular, ideally monthly, amount of money in the bank accounts without any strings attached. That's in a nutshell what universal basic income is all about. And as I mentioned, Elon Musk is possibly one of the very least people to be supportive of this. So having said that, go head over to Mastodon and follow us, join us, say hello. We really would appreciate knowing that you're out there.
So I think the main topic for today is whether a universal basic income reduces the likelihood of people looking for work. So one of the arguments against UBI is that people are inherently lazy, and that if you give them money for nothing, they will tend to do nothing. To counter that, we have recently had more results being published from the Finnish UBI experiment that took place in 2017, 2018. And they gave unemployed people a UBI. there was a random selection of people to receive a UBI. Were not able to opt out, so they were told that you are taking part, this is your money, and you'll be given a UBI going forward. Versus people who were still on the standard welfare and have been forced to look for work whilst they were receiving welfare statements of benefits, so you don't get any benefits. It was also done at the same time where there was increased restrictions on who could receive welfare payments as well going forward. And the recent results they published showed that the people receiving UBI actually worked more days than those who were on the standard welfare approach. So people receiving a UBI unconditionally were working more than people with normal welfare payments. And the key component to that is, of course, that you receive the UBI whether or not you find a job. So the people who found a job obviously continue to receive a UBI. And if they get a pay rise, they continue to receive UBI. There was no conditions on the UBI. If you worked, you got a good job or whatever, you still continue to receive the UBI. So it was just a real income basis. What was also found is that the people who are in families who are unemployed were more likely to get a job as well. So of those that were getting jobs and looking for jobs, it was the people that have a family to support and things like that. So they have a reason to stay at home to look after the kids and things like that. And even then, they were still going out to look for work. And when the people were interviewed, it was generally found that it basically improves their mood. Their whole outlook on life was better. They felt less stressed. They didn't have to worry about it. They didn't have to worry about losing welfare. They didn't have to worry about not finding a job. They didn't have to worry about things. And that reduction in stress allowed them to go out and look for a job that they wanted to do and would look forward to doing it. So once again, we've had a pilot that has demonstrated that the normal attitude of people are lazy, they won't work, if you give them money they'll be even lazier, has been proven wrong. That people who receive a UBI are more likely to look for work because they are more relaxed about life and enjoy life and can find a job that they actually want to do. So I don't know if you got any comments on that, Daniela.
First of all, I agree that when people are relaxed and they can choose a job that suits them and that where they can use their strength, where they feel they fit into the team and they can take the time to find the right job, they will be happier in that role and they will stay there for longer, they will do a better job. That's just what you can see anytime, with or without a UBI. If you're in the right role, you're going to be doing better. The company is doing better as a result as well. Everyone is happy. If you're being stressed out, you take the first job that comes along. Not sure you're going to do your best, not sure you're going to stay there forever. And that has been shown time and time and time again. And as I was preparing for today's call and I looked at the news, it's the same old stories time and time again. People with UBI are happier, they're healthier, fewer visits to the emergency hospitals or emergency rooms in hospitals, less depression. People can go back to school, get a degree, and do a better job, be more productive. Again, the economy is doing better. There are a lot of other UBI studies that show that, well, instead of just having a job, a lot of people would also go out and open their own company because they now have that safety net. And it's all really positive. And I'm thinking, why don't we have UBI yet? And then I get to the news that says, people are lazy, the ones you mentioned before. Or there is a comedy, an animated series now on Fox. Yes, Fox, the Bring Your Fox News, that simply describes how a bunch of good-for-nothing, middle-aged white men basically start to relive their childhood. Well, that is not the experience from actual UBI programs and research. Yes, some people will need a break from their life, from the current career. Not every job is nice. Not every job is good for the person who is in it. So people may take the chance to have a break. From personal experience, give it a few weeks. Once you had enough sleep, you had enough rest, you managed to catch up on your own paperwork that may be left behind. You may have caught up with visiting Gran a bit more often, things like that. Once you're on top of things again and you feel better and you can breathe,
Mm.
that's when the good stuff starts happening. And generally, that's a matter of weeks, maybe a few months. But rarely have I come across people who take years out to recover from the subpar lives that they're leading.
Yep.
And again, if life isn't good, those people should be helped in the first place.
Yep.
So one news article I've come across was the highlight of my week so far, and that was about the Oregon rebate. It
Okay.
turns out that Oregon is a state in the United States of America. As far as I remember, it's on the West Coast, famous in my background because of the Oregon Trail computer game. Um, but back to the point, Oregon is planning the Oregon rebate, which is would be the first universal basic income for everyone in Oregon. Now, you cannot live on it. So I started looking into it, and there's really, really good stuff. Like everyone who lives in Oregon for more than 200 days in a year will receive it. And they mean it, literally everyone, irrespective of age, including children, dependents, everyone. The snag is currently it would only be $1,600 a year. So it's $130 a month, which is not enough. But according to their projections, it would cut child poverty in half. So it's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of impact.
Mm.
And yes, the first impact was that Kroger, your probably not favorite grocery store, has used money from the profits they said they didn't make. They used the money they said they didn't have to fight that petition, because by now the petition has enough signatures to be passed or to be passed in front of the legislators to then be voted into law. So it's at that stage. It's looking really good. If it gets passed into law, then it will start with January 2025. So don't hold your breath. It's still a few weeks off, but keep reading the news. See what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that it will get passed. I'm hopeful it will be a great start because, well, I do believe the whole world needs it. And if Oregon can show that it's a positive contribution to the world, then others are more likely to follow.
Yeah. Especially even if it's just such a small amount, just enough to for people to who've got a home, who can at least put a roof over their head to make sure they get some food on the table. Because that's a week's groceries for many people.
Yes. And it does help. I mean, if somebody were to give me $130 a month, I take it.
Yeah.
I can stretch that for the whole month.
Yeah.
Groceries only, but yes, I can last that. I don't know how to cook. It can work.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so I'm really positive about that. Now, for all the haters out there who say, "Oh, we can't afford it, we can't afford it," something I did not know is that in Oregon, corporations pay less than 1% in income tax. Sorry, corporation tax is the equivalent of income tax to people. Now, I have never paid as little as 1% or anywhere near there. When I lived in the Netherlands, it was 45% in practical terms. 45%. A corporation in Oregon, less than 1%. And for most companies, nothing will change. It's only for large, or as they say, enormous companies that have more than 25 million in net profit. Now, Marcel and I are leading companies. Do we have 25 millions in net profit? No,
I wish.
sorry. The idea makes me giggle, really. Uh, would I want to have that? Yes. Would I be doing something wrong if our company's at 25 million? I think so. And the reason why I think that an amount of 25 million net profit After you pay your staff, after you pay your rent, after you pay for all of the servicing and goods and products you need to produce whatever you're selling, is there so much left over that you could have invested into your people? You could have sent them on training courses. You could have invested into research or development, or just making things better generally. You could have hired a few more people, so instead of unpaid overtime, your staff can actually go home at the end of their shift. Things like that. You could pay for dental for your people, for example. It's not a lot for a company with 25 million in net profits. So, in my humble opinion, it's not going to impact too many companies, and therefore, and they're raising it from less than 1%. They're raising it to up to 3%. And again, I personally have not paid as little as 3% as an individual. Again, Netherlands, 45%. So raising it by 2% points, not a big deal in my opinion. I still hope it gets passed. There will be haters out there. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who are loving the idea. They have signed the petition. It will be discussed, and hopefully it will be signed into law. Sorry. Bit of a monologue. I'm just really happy about Oregon taking the lead.
Be amazing. Be amazing. Definitely keep an eye on that one.
Yes. So in my head currently, looking what's going on in the world, I wonder who will be the first country. And when I say country, use it in the looser term. Country as a nation state or a federal state within a larger group, for example, Oregon within the United States. If they implement it, it's not the whole US, it's just Oregon. On the other hand, China has a system by which every single person gets paid a minimum income. Irrespective of how much you earn, the government tops it up to the minimum. Which means if you have a part-time job, you still get paid the minimum. Or you get paid what you get paid, and if your income from your part-time job is below the national minimum, you get topped up. And to me, the problem here is that there's no reason for people to work more or do more. So if China were to turn it on its head and said, you get the minimum irrespective of what else you earn, you get that. And you can earn on top of it. So if you go to work, then you'll have the minimum or the UBI plus what you earn. In my opinion, and I have not seen the finances, I have not seen any analysis on it. If they were turn it on its head, it would be a UBI in its true term. So it could be Oregon, it could be China, and South Africa is in the mix as well. They have currently, again, discussed and put forth to the government to have a UBI. The majority of the population is in favor, which is always a good start. And unemployment being at around about 30% is not great. They're also leading or are quite high up in the table of countries with the highest income inequality. So South Africa is currently seriously considering a UBI of sorts as well. I don't know the details just yet, but I think anything in that direction would be a good start.
Yeah, at least they're looking into it.
Very much so, and I'm quietly hopeful that the message will get through to the powers that be to start implementing it.
Yeah.
And some more prominent people like Jeffrey Hintler, something like that, the godfather of AI. He's often named Hinton. Yes, thank you. Again, in June, supposedly he spoke to the government in the UK, Great Britain, to implement the UBI or something similar, given that he's expecting that 60% of all jobs carried out by women and young workers will be automated in the next 5 to 20 years. Now, 5 years is not far from now. Uh, I think he made similar comments a couple of years ago already, so possibly we're halfway through by now, who knows? But it's, again, positive and encouraging to hear public figures speaking out on the topic as well.
Exactly.
Yes, so whilst on the one hand I'm tired of all the negativity around it, and let me be clear, the negativity around UBI is always coming from the same area. It's the conservatives, it's in the US they would be called the GOP or Republicans. It's the rich people who want to hold on to the power, because capitalism, which is the base of the power, does not work if all the people are valued the same and if they have the same income. It just cannot work. Capitalism can only work if people are being exploited. And UBI would be one way of um, shifting the balance of power.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to come across ranty. I'm just happy to see, on balance, more positive news than negative news today.
Exactly.
Sorry, anything else from your side, Marcel?
No, I agree with everything you say. I mean, it's the frustrations around people saying, you know, focusing on people working, that people have to work to buy food, to have a roof over their head. That argument that, even when people suggest the UBI is a great way to alleviate poverty and things like that, there are still so-called experts who say, I think a better solution would be to give everyone a job.
Mm.
And it's that frustration is that where does that come from? Why do people who call themselves experts suggest something that they have no evidence to support, that a better solution is to give everyone a job? Because if you ask the people that you're forcing to have a meaningless job just to get an income, they have to waste their time, right, doing this meaningless job that doesn't get anybody anything. They can't do anything meaningful in society. They are demotivated. Life is just meaningless. Just because you want to force someone to work, because if they don't work, if they don't contribute, if they don't do something, then they shouldn't be allowed to eat. That frustration always gnaws at me, and it's really frustrating that people put forward a UBI suggestion, they back it up with all the pilot studies and all the evidence to support it, that it's they are all these so-called negative effects that will happen don't happen. And still you have people say, well, I'm an expert, I think this will happen. And it's like, no, you're not an expert. If you're not looking at the data that's been produced by the pilots and then basing your opinion on that, you're not an expert. You're basically just expressing an opinion, right, based on what you think would happen. And that's why I enjoyed reading about the finish that it showed that actually people work harder, look for jobs, are more likely to work if they do UBI. But yeah, it's that frustration that you're always blocking, and even though you got big supporters of automation and things like that, people are still thinking that humans should have to work. That the solution is using technology to create new jobs for humans. Why? If we've automated everyone's job, then people should be able to sit back and enjoy life. Let the machines, let the robots do everything for us. We've eliminated most farming jobs because only 3% of the population now works in farming, whereas previously pretty much everyone did who wasn't rich. Anybody who had to work was in farming. We've freed everyone up to do all these way more interesting things, right? Because we've automated most of farming. And if we can continue to automate things, we can free up people to do way more interesting things. And it's interesting things. It's not killing time like the Fox shows suggesting that people will behave like kids because they don't know what to do with themselves because they're not needed and things like that. You will find something to do. You will find some way to contribute to society. Everybody wants to find meaning. Just look at that new movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. He just wanted, despite everything, he just wanted to, have meaning, to have that purpose, to be needed. And that's basically the core of everyone's soul, is that they want to contribute, they want to feel like they're useful. And I think once you've removed their fear of going hungry or without a roof over your head, you've had, as you suggested, a few weeks or a few months to rest and relax and stop and think, okay, now what is it that I actually want to do? What do I want to, how do I want to contribute to society? That, I think, is the reality. And I think all the UBI studies support that view. And it's just really frustrating that there's a lot of experts who just keep saying the same old tired, response that people have to work to feed themselves.
I completely agree. And I challenge anyone out there to come and give me the name of a single one of those experts who suggests that jobs are the way to go, that was born into a poor family and did not have the resources to go and study. Show me one, just the one. Because I dare put money, not a lot of money, but I dare put £5, dollars, whichever currency other than Bitcoin, $5 or pounds or euros down.
The first month's UBI.
First month UBI. I'm happy to put that down to suggest that the experts that want to force jobs onto people are born into minimum upper middle class, if not further up.
Yeah.
I've worked in a factory. I've worked in a company where harassment was a regular thing. And trust me, as soon as people had another job, they left. As soon as people had a way to get out, they left. Those that didn't, they did not really have a fulfilling life. They just existed more than anything. And that is part of why I'm so strong about UBI. Because it's not only boring and mundane jobs, but it's also the dangerous jobs. And danger, in my opinion, goes from not having the correct health and safety measures in place, for example, working at heights without a harness, down to harassment, which again has serious health consequences, irrespective of what type of harassment it is. So there are lots of different dangers in the workplace that people then have power to decide if they opt in or if they opt out. Yeah. And again, in my opinion, it's all about power. Currently, the people with power are the people with money, and they don't want to let go. They don't want to share even. So let's make it happen. Let's vote for it. Exactly. Everyone in Oregon, please vote for it. Please sign the petition. It's called the Oregon Rebate. I will put a link onto our Mastodon, the website, and on YouTube as well, so everyone can go and do their bit. Show the world how it's done.
Sounds awesome.
Good. If there's nothing else, then I hope we get some more guests next month. Do join us. Do come send your ideas, thoughts on UBI in. Anything that you would like to share. We have had discussions around negative thoughts, why UBI is not a good thing. As you said, power is one of them. Sharing money is another one, and control. If you have other reasons why you personally think it's not a good idea, join us. Let's have that conversation, because only through conversation can we actually get the word out there and make sure we all are on the same page. Because there's a lot of lying, a lot of untruth being told about UBI, what it is and what it's going to lead to. So do join us. Have a look at our website. Come to our meetings here. And let's make this world a better place where everyone has a decent, humane life.
Sounds awesome.
Good. And with that, have a good afternoon, evening, and see you next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.